people have seen one of these things?
Gosh, go help.
It's a watt meter.
Oh.
Yeah. Watts up, grows, most wells. I'm not endorsing this. In fact, if you want me to not endorse it, I will tell you more about it later. But I teach courses at UC Davis. I teach one called Fundamentals of Energy Efficiency, and I try to get the students to understand a higher level framework for understanding how you save energy, or actually backing up, how you convert energy into useful services, and then explain how that occurs through various kinds of appliances. And then how do you reduce energy consumption without affecting the services? And the different kinds of conservation measures, like reducing fixed consumption, reducing demand, or changing the efficiency. And then the indirect saving is when you make lights more efficient, you reduce the air conditioning, and so on. And of course, it's all pretty abstract until you give the students one of these things, and they begin to start mirroring them themselves. And one of the things that I've done is, one of the research areas I've had is standby power consumption of appliances. And I'm not sure how familiar you are with it, but 15 years ago, standby power consumption in many appliances was relatively high. Well, it's only, it's really relatively high compared to what? It's actually very small. The trouble is, you take that number and you're multiplying it by hundreds of millions, and that turns out to be a very large energy number nationwide. So standby power represents somewhere around 1% of global CO2 emissions, which is pretty impressive for things that are basically switched off. So I've always been involved in trying to reduce standby, and I was unusually fortunate because I naively proposed that we reduce standby power consumption in all appliances down to 1 watt, because in some cases it was 10, 15, or even 20 watts for an appliance. And to propose that was controversial. Our Department of Energy was not amused. They took away my funding. And nevertheless, I continued. And then there was a peculiar turnaround where California had a crisis in 2001. I'm not sure if you remember that, the electricity crisis. President Bush came and saw an exhibit that I created about standby power, and he started playing with it for 15 minutes. And after 6 weeks later, we had an executive order to reduce standby power to, guess what, 1 watt. And I more or less wrote the test procedure and a lot of the specifications for that. And then the rest of the world just followed suit. So it was actually very rewarding. And so you might say I'm sort of obsessed with that topic, but it also gives the students an opportunity to study electricity consumption. So what I wanted to do was show you how I do it with my students, and maybe you'll say, you're far more sophisticated in your own classes, because I know, how many people are instructors here? Yeah, and if you can't find something better to do, then you should be fired. So what I do is I give the students this, and I don't give them all. I just give a couple students that start out and say, take this home, measure a few things. And by the way, why don't you take a photograph of the appliance and put the consumption next to it so that we can see it in class. And so initially the students present it, and what's fascinating to me is, this is an example of one that might be an early one. I'm not sure how well this will work here because so I told him that, and so this is what he did. So laptop, Kindle. I was surprised about this one, but he said there's some chemistry going on here because it's charging battery, and the old lamp, and a monitor. Well, he started noticing something. I don't tell them anything. I just want them to measure, and this guy at least figured out that he should put 2 modes, and television. And actually, this is a surprise to me that not keeping up with these things. 2 watts. That's not the important part, though, because when it's plugged into the television, the question is, what does it do to the TV when it's plugged in? Because the TV in the test procedure is measured with this taken out. But once this is in, people aren't going to take it out all the time. So the real question is, what is the standby power consumption of a television with this thing in rather than out? And it could be a factor of 10 different. And so this is another example of where the devil hides in the details. An air freshener, that's what drives a little bit to 250 watts, and electric razor, well, that was it.
How about the Xbox?
So, there are 2 things you have to watch out for. First of all, these things are notoriously inaccurate low power readings. So anything around a few watts, you need to get a little skeptical about. But then the next student who was in the audience, all the students in the audience, the next student gets the meter, and they realize that they got to go out, and there are 2 things they need to do. This guy has set the bar for his presentation, for the quality of the presentation. And the next student realizes they've got to do a little bit better. How do you do a little better? You either measure more things, different things, or present a little bit more pizzazz. And I'm sorry I didn't come up with a good example, but here's someone who a little bit later on was beginning to yeah. So now she's beginning to put some some formatting in here and put some pizzazz in it, and beginning to show why with all these kinds of things. And she's got you see now she's putting I can't believe what she puts in all this stuff. This is just useless stuff, but she's got this, and then she's 3 different phases, and she's studying it under actual operating conditions. And so the students actually start you can just see that this is the part of the class that they remember the most. Not the measurement and the discussions about it. And because we were, the student was also a graduate. Anybody want to guess how much that uses? Yeah, well, I didn't know what it was. 24.5 watts. And guess what? It depended on the I don't know how that happened, but I'm going to have to learn a little bit more about these things. And I'm not sure why she said I meant 200, but she began to again test it and make some inquiries, and you could just see as we went through, as a result of this class, people were searching for new questions and lines of inquiry and learning really the difference between energy and power, which is towards the end I started telling them, okay, now you stop measuring just instantaneous power, now you need to measure energy. And so what I felt like, and I think the students agreed with me, is that after seeing these measurements and their own measurements, they really got a sense of the difference between energy and power. And boy, if you can get that across to your students, you should be very, very satisfied with yourself. Okay? There's some more stuff she did, and some of this is pretty dull, but the point is they're going out there and they're measuring things. I'm curious about that. But what's more interesting for me is not here, but there's often an in-sink water heater. These little ones. Yeah, those draw 20 watts all the time. Nobody knows about this. Okay. So all I can do is encourage you, and maybe you can give me some more tips. But I've just found that this is a great way to get the students involved and get them presenting something quickly that they could do with with their cell phone camera and this meter, and a few days from now.
So, just a thought that popped in. So I was at a show the other day, and there's a device you can put on your sink, right? Especially if you're a long distance from your water heater, that you can program it to start a pump up and it pumps water so you don't have salt water.
Yes.
Okay, so some people might think, well, that's a lot of waste of energy. But looking at it at much more globally, if I have to run my water for 5 minutes, how much energy does the city have to expend to run a pump to fill up the water tanks? So I guess my point is that even though we have all these small devices at our homes that consume electricity that might seem to be wasteful to some, they may actually save energy on a much larger spectrum. You follow what I'm saying?
I absolutely understand, and I agree that you need to consider the appropriate boundaries, because if you make them too small, you may miss capturing or losing some energy savings. And that's what you're describing. Let me put this in context. Right now, well, traditionally we had sort of some standard end uses like heating, cooling, water heating, refrigeration. But what we're seeing is kind of a breaking up of some of those standard end uses, like water heating is a good example, where you have just described a device that might be a little water, instead of a single tank in the center of the home or something, now there may be a little water heater present close to the tap, or you may actually have boosters for water heating in your dishwasher or your clothes washer that are electric boosters. And so when you're no longer actually, in the end, heating most of your water, if you're in the Western United States with natural gas, you're in fact heating most of your water with electricity. But because you're heating it so precisely, if you do this correctly, you will in the end use less total energy. Now, what you're also adding is going back upstream a little bit more and saying, well, let's examine the pumping energy at the utility or the well, because 10 or 15% of homes have well pumps, so you need to take that into account.
Sure.
And that's fair game. Although usually the energy on that side is smaller than that of the energy lost in the hot water in that pipe. The reason you're doing that circulation or something like that is or having a local water heater is because you take the water from your central water heater has cooled off, and you just have to basically drain all the hot water that's now cold, from the cold water that used to be hot, into the and it's wasted.
Right.
So,
which is another issue.
So, the reason I mention this, though, is that now this is an increasing problem, because if you look at homes in the United States, an increasing amount of the electricity and the energy consumption is in what we call the miscellaneous area. It's somewhere around 30 or 40% in California, 30% nationwide of our energy is in this very nebulous miscellaneous category. And this is a real challenge to figure out how to reduce, because the end uses are often very small, the consumptions are very small, the products are constantly turning over. It does not lend itself to the kind of standards approach that Allison was describing, because for every one of those products, you have to define exactly what the product is, you have to create a test procedure, and then you have to create all the standards mechanisms. It's really difficult. And so this is one of our other research areas, is to figure out how to reduce that consumption.
Thanks. We have similar exercises. One of the things that we try and do is we give our students a kilowatt meter, and we have them do the same type of thing with as many appliances as they have. but we're always missing out on the electric water heater and the stove, and in some cases the heat pump and things like that. And then we take them to the next step where we ask them to, if they have, multiple months of electricity data, we actually have them try and assign hours to each of those end uses, and we try to get them to start thinking about how much energy they're using for lighting, water heating, cooking.
Yes, that's really good. And if people have access to their data online, in some cases you can see the hourly consumption profiles. And if I'm saying in some cases, and this is why a smart meter is really nice, because you can see that, you can visualize that. I think I can't show you now, but you can really learn a lot with the combination of individual measurements and then also the whole house measurement, and start asking questions. And so it really becomes a springboard for many different conversations, and the context is kind of a mystery. Who done it?
So in the absence of a smart meter, do you have any suggestions on how we can try and distribute that and make some wild ass questions about ovens and stoves?
It used to be that there was some fairly standard sources of information about that. I confess I was one of them, and I'll tell you that I often made up the data. And, but I was good. When we finally got the meter data on things like well pumps and stuff like that, my data was as good as my estimates were as good as the data. And basically they were.
Yes, was the exercise too.
Yeah.
That they tried to distribute that
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is anybody looking into the implications of Internet of Things or wireless transmitters and on-standby?
Absolutely, because as I was indicating from that Chrome cast, that is basically the energy penalty of the Internet of Things. And looking back historically, a little bit after Edison, but until the end of about 1990, everything had a switch. That was a hard switch. Everything was either on or zero. And then we began to get these devices that had some intermediate standby consumption, so that your remote control would work on your television, or you had soft touch controls on something. And so this standby power consumption began to appear on some appliances. And now it's almost impossible to find a product that does not have standby power consumption. So we're at this kind of the same kind of trajectory for devices with internet connections or community network connections. So that right now the internet, let's call it network connected device, is still the exception, but it's growing awfully fast, and it's going to appear. It's just going to take over, and so usually the energy consumption of these devices will be higher, and there is a penalty that is created by the network connection. And so one of my research areas is how do we figure out how to A, technically reduce it, and then B, what kind of policy, what kind of program should we use to encourage a lower consumption? I don't know if that over answers your question.
You mentioned that these type of power meters are typically a bit inaccurate on the low end of the spectrum. Have you found one that is good or reasonably accurate at the low end?
Yeah, I have, and unfortunately I don't have it here. There's a Korean manufacturer. If you send the email, I'll give you my card or something. My address, the email address I'm going to give here, it's akmeier@lbnl.gov. But there's a Korean manufacturer that has a very nice watt meter, and it's wonderful because it is so accurate at very low power consumptions. It's used for doing, in the test procedure for measuring standby power consumption.
What is the price range on
Maybe
this?
a few $100.
Thank you.
It's the Watt man, yeah. It's a yellow. That's a really nice device. Now I'm starting to stall because, first of all, my voice is going, but I thought I was going to be relieved at this point. So,
Yeah, they're gonna come back with the David Loggers, but we're gonna take a little break.
wonderful. So why don't we all take a break unless you have any further questions? I'll stick around for a couple minutes.